definitely not worry about that. You're here with a purpose, with a mission, and as long as you are, that are acting on getting you closer to that goal, it doesn't matter how you do it. I've been in situations when we were doing hands-on, we're like full of paint and dust. This is when we were doing um, smaller units. And actually, I had a project in 2020 when 2021 actually, when COVID was, just you couldn't ignore it. It felt like it ruled so many aspects of our lives. And we bought a property, a fourplex that was pretty much abandoned. We bought it cash with the equity from our line of credit, business line of credit, and we finance everything on a credit card. And we just, that was our project. That was our COVID project. And as of this today, or this month, it's been paying about 700 plus every month. Every month, just around the clock. If we don't own it, we don't lease it, we haven't even been there. And for 4.5 years, or almost 5 years, it's been paying. That's it. Like when you create money out of thin air. That's the I guess the perfect example. And many of you are thinking, I'm here. I don't know where to start. Maybe I don't have a lot of money. Maybe I don't know exactly the steps to take, and I want to get started. Maybe I have like time. Um, some of you might not even have time. You're just thinking, well, I don't really have time. I need to focus on my family, my business, my career. And how do I get started? So that's what we wanted to come and just break it down for all of you to see where you fit in this puzzle of buying assets that you can transfer your wealth, not only for you, but for your family. And, if you're here and you're like, well, I have a good job, I have a good business, it pays the bills and more, I have enough liquidity. And sometimes because of that, we get comfortable. We get, we're content, and being comfortable is another way of keeping us in a place where we wake up a couple years from now, and that's not where we want to be. And maybe that happened to you a couple years ago, and now you're waking up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm looking around what other people is doing, and this is not where I want to be, and I need to change that. So whatever your urgency comes from, um, you need to know and understand that this meaning building wealth through real estate is something that you can achieve. And let me see, make sure maybe somebody, some of our partners are here, some of our newer partners that are here. I know that I was just talking to two of them and they were busy, so I know they were not going to make it. But just to give you some examples, our partners in this last acquisition that we did, they have a full-time job at very, really, really busy, um, 8 to 5, managing super i- important projects, multi-million-dollar projects in a very high stress environment. And they're still helping. They're helping us. We agree on what times they're available. We agree on the tasks that they can handle, and then we all divide and conquer. We have the other partner that we have. He wants to be involved to a degree, but definitely not like hands-on doing, the renovations. We don't do the renovations neither, but definitely more like a high level, and there's room for that. I can tell you that from those three partners that came into this new last acquisition, or this last acquisition, all of them, all of them well, actually, two of them have a full-time job, very successful business, and they continue to do that. We have been busy for the acquisition, and we've been busy for the stabilization of the project. But other than that, everybody continues to do their thing. We just went into back-to-back what do you call it, conferences. We've done like family vacations, spend time with the family. What I'm trying to tell you is that when you find the group of people that you want to work with, you divide and conquer, and not everybody has to be as involved, and everybody gets to complete the project. So you just need to find what can you bring to the table, and then what do you need to complete your team. So whether you're gonna do this by yourself or you're gonna do this with other people, maybe you don't know who you're gonna be doing these acquisitions and building your network or your portfolio. So maybe this is a good time for me to tell you about ourselves and the things that we've done to help others. So for those of you that are new, because many of you we met at the events, and so thank you so much for continuing to wanted to be in proximity, and you're here now. Chris and Chris did not log in. He's doing another reporting because he's on a couple of legal cases tomorrow, and he's preparing for that for other issues. But Chris and I well, we both started investing in real estate since 2006. We were doing our own gigs separately. I was building a portfolio. I was going after duplexes and fourplexes. When I met him, I had 12 apartments, and I was self-managing. And when I met him, I told him what I was doing. I told him what my plan was. My plan was to buy a house every year, and by the time I'm 50, I should have enough money or enough income from the portfolio to not have to show up to or go to work at the hospital. Like if I couldn't physically, I needed to replace my income with the real estate income. So that or my actively earned income, replace that with my passive income. That was my goal. And so he didn't run away. He said, "Okay, well, let's do that. If you can do that, and I can help you, I think we can move faster." And we did move faster. We built our portfolio to 35 apartments in Austin, Texas, and a couple of them outside of Austin, and it was a good place to be. We had we were self-managing still. We were busy, but we had full control of it. And because of that, it was, I would say, a little ta challenging to give first of all, to give the profits, because then we were like, well, if we're gonna bring partners, we have to give some of the profits up, but it will also allow us to grow faster and to go acquire larger properties. So that's why we decided to go that route. And so initially, like many of you, we didn't know what what was going to be our role in a new team. What could we contribute to a new team? Um, how can we add value to them? And we didn't really know where to find that team. So the fact the fact that you are here today, um, it's already it speaks that you are in the right place or that you are in the right track. Whether you do deals with us, which I hope all of you can do deals with us, or you do deals by yourself, or you find other communities, other teams where you can do deals. My goal is to give you information that you're going to be able to use across different situations and communities, where it's going to put you in a position to be able to negotiate your position because what you can contribute to a team. Okay. So, all right, let me pause here for a second, and I'm gonna read the questions and comments. And right now, I know that the Q&A is the only way you can get to me. So post your comments or questions as a Q&A, and I will respond to them. And you know what? Let me do this. It's gonna take me a second, but I'm going to make sure that the Q&A is open for so you can send me. Uh, so you can send me questions or comments in the questions in the chat. Okay. Um, so if this is going to be available for recording because the significant other was not able to be here. Yeah, we'll make sure to send it to you, okay? It's so good to see you here. I love it. All right. What compensation should someone who brings a deal to a group and the deal closes expect? That's a great question. I think many of you are wondering that, especially because maybe you can continue to work and or fulfill your obligations of your lives and look for deals. What I can tell you, so the question is how much compensation. So unless you are outsourcing deals for like as for a fee, which becomes a taxable event for you, when you get a fee, that fee is taxed. It's considered traditionally earned income. So anytime that you have traditionally earned income and you don't have a way to offset the taxes, it becomes a taxable event for you. So I would not advise that. However, if that's the only way that you can gather some money so that you can invest, hey, I'll be looking for deals, hunting, hunting for deals. Just the other part of that proposition is make sure you're hunting for the right product. And why I say this is because many times we get a lot of deals being presented. One of them this morning. Hey, I have a deal. I am submitting an LOI. I need a KPI or no KPI. I'm sorry, KP. Um, Key principal. Those of you that are new, a key principal is that person that secures the loan, so that way the deal can get financing. And by the way, the offer, the LOI is I'm sending that today. So again, you're bringing a deal to me, but I don't even know if you know my criteria. So when you're going after deals, make sure you know what are you looking for, and not for you, but for those people that you're hunting for, those people that you're looking for deals. Okay, so because if you bring me just one example, that example in the morning, I I asked one question and I knew that wasn't a deal for us. One question. Now, if you ask me what is my acquisition criteria, then you know exactly what are you going for, what are you looking for to then bring a deal that it's compatible to what I'm looking for. All right. So I'm not saying bring deals for me. What I'm saying is like find out what who you want to be working with or who are you going to bring the deals to and make sure that that's what they want because the key part of the question here, let me go back to it, which was really, really well formulated, was hold on. Um, what compensation should someone who brings a deal to a group and the deal closes expect? That's the key word. The deal closes. I mean, you can bring me as many deals, or you can bring somebody as many deals as you want, but if none of them close because you didn't do the vetting, then that just adds more work for that person. And that was like that person is a sponsor. Let's call that person a senior sponsor. Okay. So if you're going after deals and then you bringing them to the senior sponsor, the senior sponsor is like, you're bringing me more work because every deal you bring me, I have to go back and vet it myself because you haven't done the work. Then you are not really adding value to the team. You're adding work. Okay, so again, I find out what are they looking for, what is their criteria, do the initial underwriting, do the first pass underwriting, and if it's a good deal, maybe you start communicating with that potential senior sponsor and find out what are the things that they need to see before they say yes to a deal. And the more deals you bring, the more you're gonna learn what they like. And guess what? When you learn what I like, when do I like to be involved, what are the things, the risks that I am willing to take, what is my basic underwriting criteria and assumptions, then you're gonna do all the work for me, and then I'll be like, absolutely, bring as many deals as you can because now you know exactly what I'm looking for, not just the size or the vintage or the location, but also what are the assumptions that I'm making when I'm first underwriting. So if that's you, the deal hunter, then make sure that you're hunting for the right deal. Okay. That was a really good question. I think I added a lot of value to many of you. So if you feel like you got some value from that question, please give him thumbs up and let him know that those questions are important to be answered in that community. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, you guys are awake. Yay. Sorry. All right, love it. All right, so let's see. What is your buy box? Ooh, thank you. That's a great question. Because now he's asking, hey, what do you like? What do you want in the deal? So perfect. So buy box, for those of you that don't know what that means, thanks for the thumbs up. So for those of you that are like buy box, like what is the what is in the deal box or the box, the gift box? So buy box is an acquisition criteria. So it's easy for me to communicate with my team, my acquisition team, to tell them, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Again, I'm giving them guidelines. And they have access to all my emails, so therefore they're like screening all my emails. And then anytime that they find a deal that matches what I'm looking for, then they immediately take it to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to do the first pass analysis, and then I have a handful of other questions that I want them to respond. For example, is it in the float zone? If it's in a float zone, I immediately say no. I put it on the like maybe box, but not in the wow, this is moving forward. So I have a series of questions that I ask, or that I gave them, and if they ask them yes, then this has happened. So based on that criteria, that's what's called the acquisition criteria or the buy box. Based on that screening, the initial screening, then the deals that come to our attention are deals that pass all of those. Now, I sometimes like if I have extra time in my hands, and I'll be like, Let me see what they put in the maybe box." And I go and like, oh, hold on, this might not have been like the first pass criteria, but I kind of like this deal, so let's go see. Let's go find out what else is here. And those can be, for example, we don't do a lot of tertiary markets unless they are high cash flowing, or unless we know something about that market, that maybe we just learned that they're building something and we kind of anticipate more growth. Our team doesn't have that information, but maybe we just went to a conference and we learned that this specific market or this, you know, new technique that we have in place. So I always visit that maybe box. Maybe, not navy, maybe. All right. So, but initially you want to know again, whoever you're looking for deals, um, what team or what group or what sponsorship team that you're looking to associate with, what are they looking for? I can tell you that if I was hunting for deals for, let's say, Grant Cardone, many of you know Grant Cardone, I would not be looking in tertiary markets. I would not be looking on less than 100 units for sure. There's certain criteria. So, and this is the thing that you can, and it's absolutely okay to go after different deals. So let's suppose that I have somebody that will be okay with a tertiary market and with a smaller unit house, as long as they're cash flowing. All right. Let's say that I have also another group that they're okay with only Georgia market. I'm just making this up. Only Georgia market. They want affordable housing. They want, like getting their acquisition criteria. Then you're gonna go after those deals. And then you also looking to associate yourself or partner with somebody that is only going after trophy assets, after very new, no cash flowing whatsoever. It's okay with no cash flowing for 5 years because they know they're going to appreciate and 10. This is a longer game. There is depending on what your investors are looking for, you might be okay to hunt for all those three type of assets, but you need to know what you're hunting for. Okay. And that's one of the things that you can do with it doesn't cost you anything. There's so many resources that you can get your hands on, that you can be looking for deals maybe meeting people in person. If you're networking and just talk to other people, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And if it's a deal, you have different options to present it. Just be open to those that you're bringing deals to, so that they know, hey, I'm hunting for this, but I'm also hunting for that. Okay, well then they know that they shouldn't rely on one person to get their deals, but at least they know that, hey, they might see you promoting a C class and they might see you promoting an A plus class. So anyway, just open communication. Okay, that was a really good question. What is your buy box? I think, okay, so I don't think I gave you my buy box. Okay, so our buy box, it's 120 units plus. We look for value add opportunities. We look for uh, business properties where we can implement our business plan, which includes either improving the systems, so value add with systems, improving the physical condition, or just room to increase the rents. That's for multifamily. We follow the Sun Belt states. So if you were to look at the U.S. Map, go from the very top and draw a smile across the whole map, and all of those states that you touch with a smile, those are considered the Sun Belt states. And those are the states that we mostly favor. And if you also look at the color, you'll see that this is businesses or states that are business friendly, and we go for that. As far as other type of assets, if we're looking to buy storage facilities and I would say mobile home parks, we're okay with tertiary markets. In fact, for the mobile home parks, you probably are only going to find them outside of the primary markets. So within commute, and most people that lives in those mobile home parks are going to be okay with commuting and not necessarily paying a higher price for rent or living. So that's kind of our criteria. So outside of the main market, so secondary or tertiary, but that they have a value add component, so that we can, if they're mom and pop run type of business, that we can bring the automatizations, that we can bring the systems in place, and we don't have to leave there in order for the business to continue to function. And just remember, the real estate is a business. You're buying different businesses. If you're buying a mobile home park, that on its own is a product that you're selling, and then there's a system around it. And because there's a system, if you can optimize the system and add value, decrease the time, decrease expenses, that's what it's all about. So for mobile home parks and storage facilities, we're okay with secondary and tertiary markets as long as there is the room for value add. We don't mind, or I won't say we don't care, but we don't mind of the size. We have 26 and above. As far as mobile home parks, 26 pads all the way to 256. So, the number really doesn't matter as long as there is cash flow and there is room for improving the value and then just getting it to the next level. That's what we're looking for. For storage facilities, we're okay with mom and pops. We're okay with paper and office. Our goal is to eliminate the office and put everything in systems that we can run remotely. And then again, room to increase the rents. And most of those businesses, once that you increase the service and the um, how easy it is for them to check in and check out, like how they don't have to come only when the office is open. They can check in and check out on the website. All of those are very matter of convenience. And so a lot of the times that's where we focus our attention to improve. And as far as the size, we don't mind. We have had 70s, 80s, 100s. We have a 240 something. Now it's 260. We can add, if there's a space, we love that because then we can bring other equipment parking. So we like value add. And as far as like we're not in the A class type of storage facilities, those as you if once that we start talking about the cap rates, you're buying those for about Oh my gosh, I've seen one in Florida. It was like a 2.5% cap rate, which if you're new to this community and you're still trying to make sense of this terminology, the lower the cap rate, the higher the price. So just put it in perspective, this was about 2.5% cap rate. The price per unit was super, super high. Let's say like the last one that we purchased a year and a half ago or a year and plus time ago, we paid 7.5% cap rate, so that's just to give you an idea. And again, the one that we purchased had component for climate control, non-climate control. We added some portable assemble units. So there's room for creative because the creativeness for improving the income. It also has the U-Haul component, which brings a nice bonus on the income. So as far as our buy box, it depends on the asset, but I think I gave you a pretty good idea across the assets that we bought or that we buy. Great question. All right. Any advice on calling the broker as I inquire on a property and the Kansas market? Also, who should I talk to about creative financing using my current home? I have my first with meeting tomorrow with a person and a mentor coach. Okay, great question. All right, all right, man, I feel like I'm talking this morning. I have a mentee call with some similar situation, trying to free up some of the equity that you might have in your house. So maybe you bought the house, I don't know, I'll say 5 years ago, and you bought it for 300, and now it's valued at 400 or more. It's just an example. And you maybe you pay it down and you have a mortgage for, let's say, 250, so that you know that if you could either refinance or how can you access that equity. Because think about it, that equity that you're sitting on is not helping you. It's not doing anything for you. It's not working for you. That money that you have or the money that you can potentially have from that equity is being used somewhere by somebody. Your bank is probably leveraging on it, because they have a portfolio of 4 million and they only have mortgage for this much, and so all of a sudden, like, oh, they can get lines of credits. That's how the lending works. Okay. So reality is that if you're sitting on equity on any property, or even worse, yes, I said this, even worse, if you pay off your house or your properties, and it feels nice not to have that monthly billing or monthly mortgage, but reality is that although your money is sitting there and the potential of earning or the potential of buying right now, with your money is decreasing. Oh my God, I wish I have a paper so I can draw it for you guys. But what you could buy with let's say $100,000 10 years ago is not what you can buy today with the same amount of money, right? So just let this sink for you. If you have, let's say, $100,000 of value of equity in your house, and you're not using it, you're literally your money, your value of your money is shrinking. Because when you decide to activate that and sell it or refinance it, now the money, when you get it, you're gonna have a less amount of purchasable value. Okay? So the question was, sorry, I'm elaborating so I can give a little context. So, got a property also, um, how to do creative financing. Okay, so for the purpose of this conversation, because I want you all, I mean, don't get me wrong. There is ways to make money in the real estate. There's ways that you can buy a property down the street, maybe in your neighborhood, and make money on it. The question here for all of us is, what do I need to give up in return? Do I stop my business, stop growing my business? Do I um, spend more time in that project? Do I give up going and doing, networking with others, but because I'm so busy? It all depends what you're willing to give and how fast you want to move. So when it comes to creative financing, there's opportunities for that. There's some people that just needs to sell for whatever reason. Maybe they don't know about all the stuff that I'm telling you, and they're like, okay, well, this looks good to me. So they will give you, they're looking to maybe be the lender. Maybe take a less risky position and a more passive position, and you'll find those situations. But my question to you is, if this property in Kansas is going to tie your time and all of your capital, well, I guess you're doing creative financing, so maybe not all your capital, but if it's gonna, most of the seller finance deals, they want you to be very attentive to it because there's a reason why they're stepping out because they're tired of it. They want their time back, and they don't mind taking a shorter or a less of a they don't mind giving you the ability to buy their property at a higher value for them, knowing that you're going to be the one attentive to it. Okay, so they expect you to be there. So most seller financing situations, um, or even yeah, well, let's just stay with that. Seller financing situations, they want whoever signing on the note to be involved, to be there and taking care of it, because they don't want to be having to, like, something goes bad and they have to come back and take control of the property. That's not what they want. They're on the way out. Okay. So they want to make sure that you have demonstrated the means to be attentive to the property. I'm telling you that because we have two properties that we bought seller financing, and they're super happy. They're like, okay, just give me the report. But when they felt like we were getting too busy, they're like, are you sure you're going to have time to serve my property? Okay. So just give them the reassurance as far as what can you do to seller finance. You're charming. You have good intention. Maybe that's the only way that you have to build your network and your wealth. If I didn't have anything, guess what? I'll be like going there, being of service, being right there, educating them, helping them. What it gonna do? What to help you minimize your stress in your life, so I can take care of your property. That will be me. Service, 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 service. So that's where I'll go. Let me double check, make sure I answer your question. Uh, Create financing using my current loan. I think I'm, coming home. I think I gave you that. Okay, and you're gonna have a go with your coach. That's like by that's like, I would say, the safest, but that's exactly, if you don't know what you're doing, definitely get somebody that can coach you through the situation, that you don't end up losing your house and getting yourself in a position where you cannot service the loan, because then whatever they put as the collateral is going back to their hands. So you want to make sure that you know that you're making the right decision. Just because it looks nice and it looks like it's achievable, it doesn't mean that it will perform. So you need to be prepared that if the property doesn't perform as well as you projected for it to perform, that you're ready to fulfill your obligation with the lender if they gave you this seller financing or any other creative and the financing when you acquire properties. Okay. All right. Let's see. Man, you guys are busy. Appreciate it. You got me busy in both. Let me catch up. It's good to hear from you and Chris. Thank you. Okay, you're so nice. Thank you so much. Uh, what is criteria? What's your criteria then? All right, all right. Multifamily. Let me just make it short and sweet. Multifamily, 120 plus. If I have to go less than 100, I want it to be cash flowing at least 8 to 9%. That's it. For other assets like the storage and mobile home parks, I want it to be lower. I'm sorry, higher cap rate and higher cash flowing. So I would say nothing less than 7% on any other asset, nothing less than 7%. And the location, it doesn't matter as long as it's cash flowing. I do want to have at least two options for exit. So anytime that you're looking at a property, make sure that you have a couple options as an exit option. Okay, that's what we look at. All right. Thanks for calling me out. I'm just like dan 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 dan. All right. Conflict. Is it can. The interest the interest can be a boomer. Yeah, you can find a great property and then you go to the lender and they crush it because you're underwriting with a certain percentage of interest and then they're like initially might make you believe like, oh yeah, I can find you loans for that. I can finance that. And then when it comes to coming close to the closing date, they're like, well, I said that I could give you 75% loan to value, but I can only get you to 60%. And all of a sudden, you have to raise the difference. And not only raise it might not be a problem, but servicing, you have to now service both. And so servicing debt, servicing a loan is month to month. If you don't serve it, it goes, you default on a loan, and that's not the good news. But if you don't serve your investors, it's going to be tough for you to continue to raise capital because they're going to see that you're not performing. So absolutely. Let's see. One more question. Where do we where do we see the questions being asked? They're being sent directly as a Q&A to the panelists. So if you want to be a panelist, raise your hand and I will bring you in. Let me see. Let me see all of you guys. Make sure that I have hands up. If I have hands up, I'll bring you in. I like to have company here in the room. All right, let's see. Let me get back to questions. Okay. Um, how do you go about making the decisions on the margins for value add in conjunction with cutting cost? That's a great question. I see a couple hands, so let me get you guys. Let's see. I'm gonna send you an invite so that you can come to the panelist room, okay? I saw another one. Did you lower your hand? All right, I'll send an invite. Where you are? Here you are. Yay! Have company. Hi, David. You're
How's
muted.
it going? That's working
Amazing.
out. Very good.
Amazing. Are you really in San Francisco?
No, I'm actually in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Oh, nice.
I sent you
Nice.
a Q&A. I wanted to talk to you about a property I have available that's off market right now, but we'll do that later.
Okay. 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 Let me make sure I'm not bypassing anyone. We have some questions here, but if you want to talk about, well, filter the questions if you want to tell us about your property, if you're willing to share here in the
Sure.
group.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, it's an older property. It was built in 1969. It's about 150 units, and the average square footage per unit is 1107. So they're all two bedroom. Majority of them are two bedroom units, and but the downside is like it's 50% occupied. It's an older property, and then they didn't do any. It's maintained, well maintained from what I could see, but they haven't upgraded anything on the property. So there's some value add there, and it might be a pretty good deal. I haven't dug into it because I was looking at several other ones right now, but this came up the first part of this week, and so I haven't had a chance to look at it. But
All
it
right.
does sound like something that you might be interested in.
Do I have permission to ask you some questions in the gear of coaching?
Sure, love
Okay.
that.
What experience do you have on a 1960 something property?
Very little. I mean, I've had some older houses that are in the 60s, but and they were all pier and beam. No, I don't know. Like I said, I do have some questions if it's a boiler system, that type of thing, on the apartment complex. So, I know that will cause some issues also. So I haven't done deep dive. Like I said, I just got it in this week, and then I haven't had a chance to really look at it and see what all it entails.
What's your acquisition criteria?
Um, Well, I'm right now. I'm fairly new, so I'm just trying to educate myself for the area and whatnot. But what I'm looking at is making sure that whatever I invest in is going to be very a good cash flow, like 8 or 7 to 8%, cash flow on it.
Um, Yeah. I will. So these are some questions that come to my mind really quick, like boop, like red flag is no, like red, like run away, but red, like
Sure.
okay, I need to inquire more about it.
Sure.
Why is it only what percentage of occupancy you mentioned, like 50
At
something?
50%, again, you're asking me questions I'm going to be talking to the broker about, but I just, like I said, it just came up earlier this week. I really hadn't had a chance to look at it or even talk to the broker on it. He had sent it to me because we dealt on a couple of properties last year, and he thought that this might be a good fit for me. So,
Well, that brings me to another question. What have you told him or her about your acquisition criteria if he's sending you that this might be a good fit for you?
well, I have some properties in Louisiana. If you about 120 doors, that and they're older properties, and that I told him that, but when I talked to him last year, I told him that, but he sent me a portfolio. I call it the East Dallas portfolio. It was I think seven complex portfolio, and it had a total of, I think it was 200 and something units on it. But those were really in bad shape. They didn't do any maintenance on it. It wasn't well maintained. It was a lot of section or housing authority
Yeah,
programs
yeah.
in there and that kind of thing. So I just passed on it, and I guess uh, during that conversation, he picked up that I might be interested in those type of things. So,
Yeah. So yeah, so just the fact that you're be here and asking these questions, and I'm gonna make the answer so that it can hopefully help other people as they go through. Like I'm new here, and this is kind of what I'm looking for. So what we put out there to the brokers when we talk to them, is what they're gonna classify us as.
mhm,
Okay. So like brokers know that they can bring me an assisted living facility, they can bring me a triple net, they can bring me because they know we diversified. And then I have to like tighten down. I'm like, no, 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 don't give me a farm. I don't buy ranches.
right,
So you just have to like fine tune like
right,
your communication to them. So if this is no, just tell them, hey, this is not. Okay. The other thing is like when you're buying for yourself and you're willing to risk you know your skills and you're like, okay, I can buy this, I can make money in here. But when you're raising capital and bringing other investors with you, you have to take into consideration what they feel comfortable with.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and also you said and I'm looking at my calendar because I'm like, it's Thursday today. If you said it came to me this week, by the next day I have the answers, yes or no. You need to add velocity. You need
Okay.
to add velocity. It's
I
to
got you.
say yes or no.
I mean, not to make excuses or anything, but I've been working on another couple of complexes that I've been putting together. So it's been a hectic week, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
So it's okay. It's okay. But when you have a criteria, you know exactly if you like this coffee this way, or the first sip that you take, you're like, "Pff, oh shit, this looks like, and then
Yeah.
you like move on, velocity. What I'm saying is there's so many deals out there that the sooner that we can make a decision whether I want to move forward with this or not, you don't even wait for a day. So
Okay.
again, but if you're like, you know what, I'm curious about this.
All
Let me
right.
figure it out. So
Yeah.
and it's okay, we busy or whatever. Like I'm inviting you to pick up the speed because there's gonna be so many deals coming up in the market that if you're like still trying to figure out if this is that one that matches your criteria and you're sending the message to the broker that confuses them, they're not gonna bring you the right properties. Does that
Gotcha.
make sense?
Yes, it does.
So
But
be choosy and picky.
I like to be picky. I just don't know about this property enough to really say whether I like it or not. So
Well, call
where
them.
I'm at, I
Well,
will. Yeah.
if you were to call them, what are the things that you will ask him?
Oh, I would ask him several questions about. I did talk to him a little bit about it, but he said that the seller was willing to finance for the first 4 months. I think he owns it outright,
Mm-hmm.
And so he's willing to finance it for the first 4 months and at 4% or something like that. And then after that, it would be 5%. And I said, well, would he be willing to finance it for 3 years IO? And he said that would be something, yeah, I think he'd be okay with. So that would, again, I haven't run their numbers. I imagine it's probably going to be about 15,000 per unit to renovate those type of things. So I got to
Mm-hmm.
look at all that. I haven't done any of that yet.
It sounds like you like the value add, the heavy value add. Just make
Yeah.
sure that your investors like that,
Yes.
because
Okay.
that takes a whole different set of investors that are like they're betting not only in the property but on you being able to execute that business plan.
Sure.
Um, but if they trust you, if they've seen you win on this type of properties, they're gonna go with you. So again, identifying what are you looking for and then executing. I mean, if you're making money to investors and for yourself, I mean, it don't matter if you spend your all day at the property because I know that you're gonna go and execute the plan that you're pitching me. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's just education on my part. It's just that, like I said, I haven't dived into it enough to really be able to speak to that yet. So if I feel comfortable about it, then I'll definitely pitch it. But I just don't feel comfortable about pitching it yet.
Well, I mean, if you want to move to pitching, I know we have some questions here, but so this like this is what we do. We just come here and you know, you never know. You learn from others. Those of you that are busy doing this as doing other things as you're listening to this, being in the room, it gives you a whole different perspective because you are at least looking at something.
Right.
So kudos for you, David, for finding that property. And every property makes sense at a certain price and certain commitment of time. If your goal is to get, I don't know, 1,000 units this year, how does that property going to fit into your plan of getting more units? If you're
Right.
gonna all of a sudden, I mean, it takes 6 months at least to close from the time that you actually get the PSA, the agreement to buy. So you're looking at what, January, you're looking at the closing in July. If your goal is to get 1,000 units, then is that going to give you enough time because then after you close, then that comes execution time. How
Right.
busy you're going to be in the last part of the year? Now, if you're okay with that because your goal is to get to 150, dude, just go for it, you know? So it all depends, the time commitment, that, what their obligations or what you're projecting for your investors. But if anything, you're here and you're executing, you're exercising that muscle.
Yeah.
You're looking
That's
at
that's what I'm
properties.
trying. It's all new, a little bit new to me right now. So I'm just trying to get into it a little bit more. So,
Do,
well,
do,
thank
do,
you.
yeah, no problem. Do you have any other questions that I just like overlook or anything else that you want to ask on this property?
Yeah, without knowing more about it, I really don't, at this point. So it's it. Maybe next week or something, we can have a conversation, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about it and
Okay.
find out more.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that brings me to another aspect of the acquisition criteria. What vintage do we look for? We look for the 80s and younger, I'll say, or newer, because the building codes and the materials that have been used, and then you calculate the age of the property plus the holding time that you're gonna project to hold it, and then by the time you sell in the property, how many decades are you into it? So just
Mhm.
what is your plan for exit? What is your exit strategy? And who is going to be your buyer? If
That's
you're
it. Yeah. You brought up something that reminded me that during our conversation, he did say that the wiring in the complex is aluminum, but they did have what they do
remediation.
pigtail it, to the copper. So I don't know. That's sort of scary there because of the aluminum wiring on it too.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
they
Do you have any properties that have aluminum wiring in them?
I had and I got rid of it. I
Okay.
exited at a profit. That was
Gotcha.
my very first property, and I'm like, what? I need to at that back then. It was in 2006, and I think I paid like $8,000, unexpected $8,000 from, it was a duplex. I paid 112. It's a small acquisition, but I sold it at a nice profit. But again, I didn't know anything about what do you mean? I have electricity. Why do I care what's behind the walls? Well, I guess you have to care because the
Yeah.
insurance does.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now I won't go back. Now that it's like once that you've seen the reading in the Bible, you know better.
Right.
So once that you've been educated on it, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for you to insure the property, and many times you might not be denied the lending, but they make it really difficult for you to get lending. They
Okay.
ask you for more down payment. They give you like higher contingencies, and so they just make it really difficult like for you to lend. So think about, I'm gonna be real here. Some a person that doesn't have their legal papers and they're trying to buy a house. They have the money. They have the money saved. They can pay on cash, but they make it so difficult. So they start charging all these extra fees that, I mean, I've seen people paying 16% on a regular single family home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, let me be your lender. Because
Mhm.
the lender feels that they're at high risk. So it's a risk, and you're gonna pay for it. So if it's from your money and you are able to absorb that, then that's a different story than when you're pitching an investor. Think about who is your competition when it comes to investing, or you're
Okay.
looking for your investors. Um, Great questions and great scenario. I think a lot of people serve from your questions, David. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Here, how do I invest in your deals? Um, my wife and I have been landlords for over 20 years. And they're duplexes. Oh my gosh, duplexes and fourplex. Please get in touch with me. We exit those successfully with cash flow in position, and we were able to secure or a loan in a way that it was a win-win for everybody involved. So I would love to help you with that, and then free up that money and just roll it into something that you have less risk and you are more, you know, um, passive maybe, and you might be able to do active investment as well, or GP. All right. Let's see. Um, 1 second. I'm trying to. There you go. Let's see. I want to become an investor with a loan on my property. How can I deal with that, the lower risk? Uh, I'm assuming the loan on your property is like a line of credit. Um, I think depending on what the rest of your situation, what else is, um, I'm just looking at your name and I think I know your situation. Like if you are a high earner, highly paid professional or business owner, you can leverage that to help you be in a GP position, because then with a GP position, if you have a line of credit, you don't deploy that money. You use it to get in a deal and then withdraw that money, put it back in your line of credit, and still have an equity position in a deal. So, not knowing everything that surrounds you and your situations, I will say if you have a line of credit, that definitely can be a benefit for a team where you can help them get into a deal and get equity because of that, and you don't put your money as a high risk. Let's just put it that way, because any money that is put up front as a general partnership is a risk for being lost if the deal doesn't close, and that's why that portion of the investment is called risk capital. So, um, what I will say, we can get a one-on-one conversation. That way I can see what else you bring to the table, and what else can you benefit from being part of a team, and still not putting all of your loan on a long-term investment, because most of the syndications are long-term investments. So if your line of credit is given, let's say for couple years, and then it's going to be reevaluated, and then it's recalled, meaning that you have to pay it. then all of a sudden your money is invested and is tied in a position where it cannot be liquidated, you can be in a really bad situation. So definitely let's get in a call and we can talk about that. All right, great question. God, I'm getting behind. Um, how do you go about making decisions on the margins for a value add in conjunction with cutting cost? Um, so each property, when you buy a property, each property is going to have its own business plan. Your lender is going to ask you to present them with a business plan. What are you planning to do for this property? And if it's not feasible, obviously they're going to tell you and they're going to dismiss your loan or they're going to deny your loan. So depending on how much you need, they're gonna, for example, if you have a property and you want to add value and you're like, I'm going to do granite and I'm going to do all these fixings and I'm going to do all this electronic, blah, blah, blah. And the lender is like, this is not comparable. This is not competitive with what you can achieve, rents that you can achieve in this neighborhood. It doesn't matter how good your business plan looks. If it's not achievable, they're not going to lend you on. So you have to be able to balance that. How do you calculate that? With experience, with comparing your units or your inventory, your property with other properties and the zip code on the neighborhood. That's how you then calculate how much you wanna put in, and then what are you looking, how long it will take you to recover that investment back, given that you assume a certain percentage of increase on rents. That's pretty much what you taking into consideration. Are you looking for a properties? Absolutely, 100% yes. So I gave you my criteria. If you guys find a property, let's look at it. Don't go too deep before you bring it in this type of um, gatherings, or send me a brief like this is what I see, this is what I gathered from talking to the broker, and this is my first pass on the writing. If you don't have the first pass on the writing, text me, I'll send it to you. It's like addition, division, multiplication, and subtraction, rest, we call it rest, no, not rest, subtraction, yeah, you minus it, right? Anyway, so it's super simple. My goal is to have my granddaughter know how to do the first pass by the time she's 6. She has 1 year. Anyway, so yeah, very, very quick. So if you are looking for properties and you're hunting for properties and you want to bring them to us, absolutely, you'll be part of the deal. We will never kick you out of the deal. You are also expected to do more than just bringing the property. So, but yeah. All right, next question. How do you get involved with your deals? I think I answered that. I'd probably jump back and forth. I use that those first position HELOCs and sweep account. It can take a 30-year note to 7 years and a 5-year 6% simple interest rate. What would you up to? Oh my gosh, it's a little busy. So this is a more specific situation. So thank you for bringing that in. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a screenshot of this situation, and for the purpose of time, and to cover as many questions as possible, I will ask you to text me that situation, and I have it right here, so I capture it so that we can talk about it, okay? Because it sounds very specific, but I would love to help you. All right. If I want to be uh, become an investor with a loan on my property, how can I do it with the lowest risk? If I want to come, oh, I think I answered this. For safety, replace all the aluminum. Correct. Yeah, for safety. Yeah, that was a comment for Dave. Just for safety, replace all the aluminum. Correct. Aluminum gets overheated, and if it's close to sticking together, or if like the new appliances, then even the new electronics that draw more electricity, there might be like a allowance that you can go, the electricity that you can consume. But then if it gets too high and the cable continues to be a conduit to it, it can get really heated, and that's how fires can get started. Don't ask me how do I know all this. It's probably because the electrician just explained that to me this morning. But anyway, so yeah, be careful, because then that could be a spontaneous fire, and you don't want that in your property. Perfect. Thank you. You'll be in touch. Perfect. Let's get in touch. I love that. All right. Let me make sure I didn't uh, abandon the chat. Thank you for all the questions. I think I captured them all. If I didn't, please make sure to send them to me. What is your criteria? I got that. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. I know I went over the time, and I appreciate David coming into the panelist room. I enjoy the company. I enjoy having the conversation and rather than just talking to you guys through this screen. But it's always fun. It helps me, it helps you, and it helps answer questions that come through. Some of the questions are not submitted here, but today we actually had a lot of great questions. So we didn't take any of the questions that were sent previously. So if I didn't answer your question, let me see. What's today? It's the Thursday of the month. Yeah. So our next one is gonna be. Oh wow, we have a long weekend. I mean a long gap. So that's February 7th. We meet with investors and potential investors, and we share the deals that we're pursuing. What are the things that we've seen in the market. So that's a good one. It's just February 7th. And then February 14, it's Q&A, open Q&A. Everybody's welcome to the panelist room and then just ask questions, learn from each other. And then again, the virtual meetup. With this day is probably most of the month we're gonna be in Houston, so we'll probably do a meetup in Houston. If you know, if you're in Houston or know somebody that is in Houston, let us know. Send them more ways because we just love to meet in person. And we actually are at the complex that we purchased, the 34 units, and so we're gonna be managing some of the vendors here. So we'll love to bring you in and show you what we've done. We'll show you a classic unit and then show you what we've done. We just enjoy doing that, sharing, and you can ask questions and give you an update on how this deal is doing. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Tell Chris we miss him. He's feeling a little down because he's been traveling and he's getting ready for some legal stuff. I think that's the legal stuff that kind of drains him. If you have a lot of equity on a property, does it make sense to pull, let's say, a 200,000 out and pay interest on it and put in a deal? I think I answered this. Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't. You just mentioned the name of the deal. I would not put it in that deal personally. I would not put it in the deal. That's a long haul deal, and yeah, that's the thing with investing. Um, invest money that you don't need today. Invest money that you're not going to be charged a fixed um, interest rate because nothing on the other side is guaranteed. Okay, you can get pitched for something that pays 8% and then you take your money at 7% thinking you're going to make that 1% and all of a sudden the 8% falls through and now you have 0% but you still have to be paying that 7% to your bank. It's just not a good deal. I would not advise to do that. Normally don't give financial advice, but that's something that I would highly advise you not to do that. If you have to, if and I think I know where you're coming from. Like, but they're telling me that this is gonna do well, blah blah blah. Nothing is guaranteed until it happens. So I wouldn't personally, I don't invest anything that I'm not willing to lose. And that might be a little more of extreme. Maybe you're still risky in a way, but I wouldn't put my own house uh, to invest in something longer holding and with a lot of unknowns. Certainly, if I wanted to use the equity in my house, sell it. Sell it that you don't have that way you don't have extra payment. You pretty much free up the equity instead of putting yourself in two losing situations. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. And till next time, go crush it.